My name is Tim Bush, Director of Business Development here at MarketSharp. Certainly have got to know many of you over the years, so happy to have you on this webinar as we wind down 2020. My gosh, what a year.
What a year.
Yeah,
What a year.
been quite the year. So very interesting stuff has been learned by a lot of companies. And, hopefully we can share some ideas along those lines here today. So today we're going to talk about the 4 steps to take control of your success in 2021. Now that particular title, it really sounds a little bit, general. And I guess it is to some degree. But when you think about it, the concept of 4 steps, it really can get very specific then, because we're going to try to speak about the 4 things that are critical to really leverage yourself in 2021. So Brian, as we go to the next screen, just want to remind the folks that today's webinar is brought to you by our friends at G4 Marketing, the Wealthy Contractor. And you're also going to get a glimpse and learn a little bit about Accelerate Live this year. And I love what Brian and Addie are doing with Accelerate Live this year. So you're going to get a little bit of a glimpse of what's going on there. We really hope that many of you will join us for that event. And you got multiple ways you can do that this year. So looking forward to that. And of course, our company here, MarketSharp, a CRM solution for the industry, is also a sponsor. So I hope you don't mind if you hear a little bit about the things we do in our business. It's really the only way these webinars can happen, is to get some exposure for the sponsors of the event. But rest assured that the majority of the content here today is going to be great educational information that you can go ahead and use starting today. So important stuff. So next slide, we're going to do a little poll question if you don't mind. So tell us, Brian, why don't you go ahead and launch this poll if you can, and let us know a little bit about how your company's doing. And the options are going to be things are rocking, experienced a few challenges over the next year. I think maybe that could be the case. I'm thinking you can only guess one of these answers, but some of them might work together. And for us, it's kind of steady as she goes. So why don't you go ahead and quickly respond here. And Brian, you can kind of watch what's going on. And
actually, luckily for me and for everybody else, Valerie's controlling the poll, not me. So I got hands off.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, good.
This is, do you see the results, Tim? You should.
No,
oh, you don't? All right. 40%, more than 40% of people have responded with things are rocking. 46%, we have experienced a few challenges. And just a few, only 11% said for us, it's steady as she goes. So that's interesting, right?
What is very interesting, and my guess is even some of the folks that have said they're experiencing a few challenges very well may be rocking too, because frankly, what I'm hearing out there is there's some challenges that are being presented because things are rocking.
Exactly, yeah.
So that's interesting. Who would have thought, Brian, in February, March, that we'd be here right now and have business and inquiries and consumers out there just clamoring to get their homes fixed? Who would have thought this? It's been a very interesting year.
It is amazing. I was speaking with one of my clients who's actually in our Wealthy Contractor Mastermind group. And she runs 2 home improvement companies across town from each other, a roofing company and an exteriors company. And right now, her roofing company, they can't take another lead until the end of January. Yeah. Okay, like they cannot get to all of the demand to even run a lead. And then in the home improvement company, they can't install anything until like March. Now, some of that is just because they've sold a lot, but the other side of that is supply. Supply has been a real problem for a lot of my clients, and I would imagine a lot of yours too, because we have the same clients, right?
Yeah.
So it's a crazy year.
It is. And the thing that's interesting is, even though things are really rocking, and the danger is when things get like this, it's really tempting to allow your business to get into inefficiency mode.
Oh, yeah.
And when you think about it, there couldn't be a better time to shore up your efficiencies, to really take advantage of not only what's available right now, but also what's probably going to come at some point, because it's not going to stay this way forever.
Right.
So you always got to stay on top of that.
Yeah.
So
Well, and
let's
it's,
move on. Oh, go ahead,
well,
Brian. Another
you know,
comment?
I'm glad you mentioned that, because you're absolutely right in that when, it's almost like, it's like the buffet is in front of us. Let's get as much as we can and as much as we can. And like one of the things we're going to talk about today is getting clear about, well, do we really need all of that? Does that get us to where we want to go? And so I'm glad you brought that up, because then that causes a lot of issues that may or may not need to be present in the business. And so anyway, we're going to talk some about that. Um, you're
Let
giving
me
away
just,
tickets. I'm
yeah,
not. You
let
are.
me just, let's go ahead and mention this, on behalf of Brian and Addie here, I just want to, let you know that the event that they have planned for late January, and more information from Brian on that later, Accelerate Live, um, is really something everyone should consider. And we at MarketSharp got together with Brian and said, hey, let's go ahead and give away a couple of the virtual tickets, and that'll make sense to you as we get into more information on the event
Yeah.
in the webinar. But we're giving away two at the end of the event, $495 value each, but you got to be present
Right.
to be
Got to be here.
selected by the randomizer. So hang around for that. Then again, more information about the event as we go on. So Brian, let's go. What's the next slide? Let's
Cool.
kind of dive in and get rolling here.
So
again,
the next slide is the 4 steps to take control of your success in 2021, and we're gonna go through the material a little quickly so that Tim and I, Tim's got a little bonus content for you at the end, which is just awesome stuff. And then we'll hang around a little bit to answer any questions that may come up. You can put the questions into either the Q&A box or into the chat box. Valerie is monitoring both of those for us, so Tim and I can stay focused on all of you. So yes, this is being brought to you by Accelerate Live. This is our annual event, and Tim and MarketSharp have been sponsors of it since the very first one in 2017. We do have a couple of coupon codes for you here. If you want to go check out the event, it's accelerateevent.com. We'll tell you a little bit more about what it's all about, but those are your coupon codes for you. I didn't recognize a whole lot of names in there, so I threw in 2 quick slides here just to give you a little bit of sense of who I am and maybe why should you even listen to me. So we have a podcast called the Wealthy Contractor Podcast. Hopefully, I would imagine a lot of you already listen to the podcast, but if not, you can get it wherever you get podcasts from. We interview very successful contractors, and basically what we're looking for is what makes them successful, what has made them successful. What are the models that they follow? What are the formulas they follow? You already know about the event we put on. This is a shot from last year. I also wrote a book, released it earlier this year, called The 7 Secrets to Becoming a Wealthy Contractor. At G4 Marketing, which is our marketing business, we work on the relationship marketing side of things. We play very nice with MarketSharp. Many of our clients have that CRM, which is really, don't tell anybody, but it's probably the best one in the industry, but that's between us. And so that's kind of who we are. We work with some of the top names in the space. Our clients collectively did over 100,000 jobs in the last 12 months and nearly $1 billion in revenue. But that's enough about us. This is about you and your success and in 2021. Which, by the way, this really goes for any of us, regardless of the businesses that we're in. But the 4 steps to success in 2021, number 1, clarity. We'll talk more about that. Profit. This is a topic that in this industry is not discussed enough. We'll talk about that. The customer, the importance of the customer, and then finally you as the business owner. This, by the way, this webinar, like many of these, is really designed for the owners of the companies, as like, Accelerate is also designed for owners of high-performing home improvement companies. So step one is all about clarity. Clarity is all about understanding why you're in business, what it is that you want from your business. And a lot of people think that, and I was one of these people, if we just get bigger, if we just sell more. And I always ask people, it's like, well, what do you want? What do you really want? Like, what kind of life do you want to live? Do you give that any thought? Because business is just a vehicle. Business done right is really a vehicle for getting you three things: more time to do with whatever you want and whoever you want to do it with, more money. So again, you can do with, what you want, when you want. And ultimately, it's all about freedom. Now, I was talking about the little heart earlier. I had to throw the little heart in there. Well, this is one of the frameworks that we use. In fact, these are the two frameworks, and I'll share a little bit more about that in a minute. But these are two of our wealthy contractor frameworks. And in the middle of both of these is you, and the heart represents what you want and why you want, your desire. So a lot of people say, well, I just want to make more money. And I always ask, well, why? And most people can't answer that question. In fact, I did this yesterday twice. I had one of our clients come in for half a day with me yesterday, and we went through the entire, what is it that you want? We put numbers to it, and then we put a why next to it. Why do you want to make, and the numbers don't matter. I'm just going to make up a number. Why do you want to make $500,000 a year, right? And so one of the things that people do, and to me, it's a mistake, and this is from my own personal experiences, and I know Tim sees this all day, every day, is people say, well, I want to do $6 million next year. Again, the numbers don't matter. They're just for representation. Well, okay. Well, why do you want to do $6 million? How much money are you going to make when you do $6 million? Have you ever made that much money before? Are you focused on your profit, or are you focused on your top line? And so one of the things about clarity and going into 2021 that I advise all of my clients is come up with your profit number first. Your profit number first. And then we can reverse engineer the business to get you what you want. I mean, what's the point of doing $6 million if a $3 million business will get you everything that you want, right? Clarity. It's understanding. And this is a big piece of what we do at Accelerate. I mean, this takes all of the first day for us to get really clear on what it is that we want, setting up the profit models to do this, and then starting the reverse engineering process. Now, the reverse engineering process takes a little bit of time, and it takes a couple of days to do. And one of the best tools, and I think he's going to show it to you guys later, one of the best planning tools that there is the one that Tim created. And he'll show you this a little bit later. But once you get your reverse engineer, your structure in place, now you have to get it more granular, and you got to go into annual, quarter, monthly, weekly, and then now when you have clarity, now you've got focus, and when you have focus, that's what's going to help produce results. Okay, and so I always ask people, I forgot to change it to 2021, is what are you going to focus on in 2021? Are you going to focus on sales growth, or are you going to focus on profit growth? I don't know about you guys, but I'm focused on profitability. I don't care about the top line. I'm not attached to the top line. Only reason I'm even thinking about the top line is because I know what I need in top line in order to hit my bottom line. The bottom line is what matters. The bottom line is what's going to get you where you want to go, right? So once we're clear about what it is that we want, why we want it, and we put numbers to it, we put actual numbers to it, all right? Now we've got to make sure that our business is operating profitably. I can't, and again, me and Tim have a ton of experience with this, and we privately just kind of shake our heads and we'll say, can you believe that this person did, and again, numbers don't matter, but this person did $10 million and they netted 3% and they're bragging about it. It's like, that's not, to me, there's nothing to brag about there. That's not a really, yeah, okay, we did 10 million, but not, very little of it actually stuck, right? Profit is the fuel of a business, right? And in order to have a high performance business, you need high performance fuel. And this goes back to what Tim said right at the beginning of this, was the inefficiencies come in. So just because a lot of money is coming in top line, a lot of people are letting it go out and not really focus too much on the bottom line. And that's the kiss of death in business, because without a clear profit model, without a good profit model in place that you are working towards every single day, you're not going to have the money you need to effectively market your services. Look, there are companies out there that are outspending you in the marketplace. They are willing to spend upwards of $500 and $600 for an issued lead. Okay, think about that. They're willing to spend upwards of $500. How do they do that? Well, they got a profit model that allows them to do that. Without enough profit, you won't have enough money to hire great people. Great people. We don't want mediocre. We want great people. You won't be able to give your family the rewards they deserve for putting up with you and putting up with the business and all of the headaches and the stress and the anxiety that comes with it. And more importantly, you're not going to have the solid foundation. Again, Tim said it, I say it, this is not going to last forever. At some point, things are going to start to, I hate the word normalize, but they're going to normalize a little bit, right? And so in order for you to make it and build a sustainable business, you better have a really strong profit model in place that you're working towards every single day, okay? Too many people in this business are accepting lower than acceptable profits, okay? And here's a dangerous myth about this, okay? I hear this all the time from people. Well, when I get to $4 million, I'll start making money. And what do we always tell people, Tim? The reality of it is, if you aren't making money where you are right now today, and I don't care if it's $1 million, 2 million, 5 million, 20 million, if you aren't making money where you're at right now, you're not going to make money at a multiple of where you are. How do I know? From experience, okay? And I've seen it over and over and over and over again, as Tim. So that is a very dangerous myth. Yeah, go.
Yeah, Brian, that reminds me, I remember one individual, a consultant in the agency years ago, he made a statement that kind of stuck with me forever. And he said, you know what? He said, I talked to companies that they only lose $8.32 on every job, but they think they're going to make it up in volume.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, okay.
It doesn't work.
No. It
does not work. We've seen it over and over and over and over again. Again, this man right here has so much experience. And I think that he's probably one of the most underutilized people, because he's there, he's available to help people. And I don't know how many calls you get a week from people, but it's probably not very many of people that are reaching out to you and saying, hey, Tim, I'm stuck on this. How do I get unstuck? Because this is a guy that has been there and done that for, when did you first, I always ask you this, and I'm sorry, but you first designed MarketSharp in what year?
Well, it started when I saw a Super Bowl ad in 1984 that kind of stuck with me. And many of you know what ad that was. It's probably one of the most iconic ads in advertising history. It's Apple Computer introducing the Macintosh computer.
Yeah.
So for some reason, that ad just impacted me. And I said, I don't know what that thing is, but it's probably going to change the world. And lo and behold, it and a few other things did. few years later, that stuck with me, and I said, I'm going to buy one of those things, figure out how to make it help us in our business. So I bought one, fiddled with it, learned how to program the thing. And gosh, Brian, I think it was probably about 1991 that we had in existence what now has come to be known as a CRM. Those letters weren't even put together then.
Yeah.
But we had that, and it just helped us in our business. One day, a Windows supplier came in and said, "What's that?" And I said, "Well, it's computer," because not many people had them. He said,
Yeah.
"What does it do?" So I showed him. He said, "Hey, would you show my boss?" Sure. Up to Minneapolis I go, show his boss. His boss says, "I got a dealer meeting coming up. You want to show them this?" And I went, "I guess." So I remember standing in front of this group of about 100 people with a little 9-inch Macintosh computer with no projector, talking about this goofy stuff. Lo and behold, 8 of them raised their hand and said, "Can I have one?" And I went, "Huh?" And that's how the business started. So early 90s, Brian. Sorry for the
Yeah.
long
So
answer.
30 years of experience and, very underutilized. But you know what's funny about Tim now is you can't get him to use a Mac if his life depended on it. But you started on a Mac, and it's still, to this day, I still don't understand. I'm trying to get him to upgrade to a Mac, but he won't do it. But
Well,
I'm still holding out hope.
I hope we get through this presentation because it's being run on a Macintosh computer. So we'll see.
Of course it is. So, all right. So one of the when we talk about profitability, look, your minimum acceptable profit after all expenses, including you, should be 10%, but your ideal should be 15 to 20%. Now, I have a bunch of clients that are in this range, a bunch of them. Okay, so if they can do it, you can too. And there's very specific models for how to do this. Very specific models. In fact, yesterday when I was with my client yesterday, we did it, and I'm pushing him into the 15% model because he's moved up. Thank God. So he was at 3 or 4% last year. No, the year before last year. This year he's edging up to about 10%, and even at 10, I'm like, beat him up. It's like, no, next year we're going to focus on the bottom line and we're going to do 15%, right? Because it's a lot easier to grow the bottom line than it is to grow the top line. The top line at a 10% net, you got to sell so much just to make 100,000 more. You got to sell $1 million in home improvements. It's so much easier to tweak the bottom line than it is the top line. And one of the biggest places that we see issues is in pricing. Most everybody, would you not agree with this, Tim? Most everybody we come across is probably not pricing right.
When you mentioned that, it's taken me years and years and years to figure this out, but absolutely. That's the one issue that's running rampant in the industry is contractors underpricing their products. And, I know you got some more comments to add on this, Brian, but I just want to mention some things that kind of my light bulb went off when I really thought about it. And I just challenge anybody, if you're concerned about raising your price, because a lot of people say, I can't do that, we'll get less sales and things like that. And first off, I've not ever seen that happen. But
Neither have I.
Here's the thing to do. Go through this exercise. Look at the companies in your market that are selling the most units of the type of product you said, and you know who they are.
Yep.
You can tell who they are. And then do one more thing. Find out what they're charging for their products. And you frankly probably know what that is too.
Yep.
And I would bet in every single market and in every single case, the companies that are selling the most stuff have the highest prices.
Yep.
And you might say, well, how can that be? Don't they price themselves out of the market? Well, apparently not. But here's the thing to remember. Why are they selling the most stuff? Because they have money built in with their pricing.
Right.
That they can build this brand or whatever it takes, that when people think of that product in their market, that's who they think of, or they could spend enough money to generate enough leads. So please, if there's one thing you should really consider as we turn the corner in 2021, really think of your pricing.
Yep.
I know a friend of yours, Mark Curry.
Yep.
And Mark is a very successful company out in the East. And I remember he was inducted into the Home Improvement Hall of Fame probably about a year ago. And I remember him giving his little speech afterwards, and he said, you know what? and I'm not sure I got this nailed exactly what he said, Brian, maybe you remember, but he said, there's one thing I can always count in this business, that if I ever got a problem to solve, I have found that in about every case, I can solve the problem by increasing my price. And I thought, oh my gosh.
And that's the gist of what he said. By the way, Mark is speaking at Accelerate. I have him coming to
Oh,
talk about the fundamentals of profitability, because
awesome.
there's a guy who's quiet. You don't really see him, around too much, but you and me both know him very well. He's one of the smartest people in this business. And I have him coming to speak on this topic of profitability, and it's going to be amazing. I spoke to him a few days ago, and it's he's awesome.
Good.
And so if we look at pricing, and this is an issue that I hammer. In fact, at again, we're talking about Accelerate here, but at Accelerate, there's three areas of focus for when it comes to pricing and how to build more value. Because wrong pricing, it is one of the biggest challenges to profit, and it's one of the biggest issues that we see out there. And so when you are, look, let me do something here. Steps. So first is clarity, getting clear on what it is you want. So again, let me just throw out a number. Next year, I want to make $500,000. All right. Now, then we look at profitability and we say, okay, with profitability, where do I need to be in order for me to get that number? So if my profit model is at 10% right now, which is okay, but it's not ideal, then I need to sell $5 million. Well, but if my profit model is at 15%, then I only need to sell about 3.5 million. Okay. And what makes up the difference in most cases is price, right? So many people in this business price and sell jobs from a place of fear rather than a place of confidence. So they end up with the wrong margins. It's high risk, right? Everything that is done in this industry is high risk. Think about, what you guys are doing. You're going into a house, you're tearing it apart and you're rebuilding it. There's so much risk involved, right? And if you're underpriced to begin with, it's a recipe for disaster. So we say, instead of sale at any price, right, just to get the job, forget that. Charge the right price so you can not only increase your profitability and get what you deserve, but more importantly, deliver your customers the best people, the best processes, and the best experiences, because that's what they deserve, right? When you cut corners on your price, make no mistake, the person that is suffering aside from you is your customer. And that's not fair. And that's not right. They will pay more for you to do it the right way, okay? So stay profit focused, okay? You gotta understand your numbers. If you're not using a CRM, I would imagine most everybody probably that's here, Tim, probably using a CRM. What's funny is the people that should be here probably aren't. But if you are not using a CRM to track your numbers and understand every number in your business, you don't have a business. You just have a job. And it's probably a pretty stressful one and not a very lucrative one, right? So you've got to understand your profitability. Again, we've got different models that we share. You don't have to go and figure this out on your own. There are proven models that work, that other people are following, that are in the same exact business that you are in. And so I wish, Tim, that I had heard this 15 years ago, because I was one of those guys that was like, more. I built an $11 million company, but guess what? We had debt. We had to fund that through debt, not through cash flow. Every one of my most successful clients, they don't have debt in their businesses. They fund everything through cash flow. So revenue for vanity, profit for sanity. And by the way, cash is king. I know people right now are sitting on I know my clients are sitting on a lot of cash, which is great, but just make sure that going into next year, that cash is going to remain. Just because you have a bunch of cash this year, if you don't have your profit model dialed in and you don't have clarity and focus about where you're going and why you're going there, then that cash will evaporate. It will go away just like that, right? And I always say, don't settle. When it comes to profitability, when it comes to getting what you have earned by doing the work that you do, you deserve better. Don't settle for anything less. Oh, look, it says back to Tim here.
Hey, Brian, we did have a couple questions.
Go.
Okay, so Gail Daniels was asking, what do you think the ideal net profit and also gross profit should be for a remodeling contractor?
Remodeling being a specialty contractor or a GC. Either way, the answer is going to be the same. It's at least 15%. At least 15%.
And then she also followed up with a comment. She said, it's harder to find that competitor pricing information out when you're talking about a service in the remodeling industry.
So here's an issue that a lot of people have is they're so focused on what their competition is pricing or charging, they're not running their own race. When we come up with pricing, we're not looking at the competition. We're looking at what does it cost us to do our business? What is the gross margin that we need to achieve? So with specialty contractors, roofing, window siding, exteriors, bathrooms, gutters, a lot of the people that are probably on this call here are in one of those areas. We look at material and labor and we then say, okay, after material and labor, we need X amount for marketing, we need X amount for sales, we need X amount for overhead. When we get those numbers right, that gives us a net profit at the bottom. And so we can adjust based on knowing those numbers. And I say to people all the time, and it's something that is very difficult for a lot of business owners to internalize. And I ask them, who pays for example, if your overhead goes up or your marketing costs go up or your material costs go up, I always say, who pays for that? Who pays for that? And a lot of times they are paying for it. And I say, no, the customer pays for everything. So pricing is done based on your own models, not on what your competition is doing. I hope that makes sense. Any other questions at this point? Okay, cool. Tim, here, let's talk a little bit about, I'm going to pitch Accelerate. Okay, so everybody I'm going to do it fast, but we believe in the event. We think that you get a ton out of it. Here's how this event is designed. Okay, it's really designed for owners. And it's designed to help you make more money and keep more money. And number two, it helps you design a business that works for you, that serves you and your family and provides you with the means to live your best life, whatever that means for you. Either the business works for you or you work for your business. And ideally, we want to set up a business that works for you and for your family and for your team and for your community. Now, for the first time ever, we are offering a virtual option and we will have people live. We're doing a hybrid event. We're going to have people live in the room and you are going to be there live with us in the room. It's not going to be a boring Zoom like this. It's going to be, you're actually going to be there in the room with us. We're going to have cameras throughout the room. So you're going to feel like you are part of the experience. Okay. The big question we answer throughout these 2 days is how do we create our business to deliver the success, the wealth, and the freedom that we desire, okay? And there's two ways that you could do this. Either one, you could do it like this, right? You can try and figure everything out on your own, or you can follow proven formulas and models. We brought up Mark Curry. Here's a guy, again, this is a guy you've probably never heard of. Maybe you've heard us talking, or if you were at that event, you heard him speak. This guy has proven models for success. He's been doing it. How long has he been doing it? 30 years? As long as you have have been in the industry, right?
I think so.
So, and this guy's profitability, I'm not going to, if he tells you, he tells you, I'm not going to tell you, but it's as high as I've ever seen. And we're not talking about $1 million business here. We're talking about a business that does north of $20 million a year, right? So it's very possible, and he's going to show you exactly how to do it, right? And then finally, at Accelerate, there's 2 frameworks that drive the whole event. First is the 7 Secrets book, okay? The 7 Secrets book. We go through each of the 7 secrets throughout the 2 days and how they apply to you designing a business that works for you. That's mindset, okay? Because the mindset to me is more important than the skill set. I've learned this. I'm 52 years old. I've been in business on my own since I was 23, and mindset more important than skill set. All right. And then we use this, which I call the Wealthy Contractor Success, Wealth, and Freedom Framework. It is based on the 3 pillars of people, process, and profit. And these are the 2 frameworks that Accelerate is designed on. Because without this framework in place, you get no freedom. You get no freedom. And all the most successful people in this business, they run a framework just like this. All right. And finally, at the end of the day, it's not about working harder or longer. A lot of people wake up January 1 and say, all right, this is the year I'm going to work harder. I'm going to work longer. I'm going to do what it takes. The problem with that is working harder and longer is not a sustainable business strategy. It will not get you where you want to go. You actually have to work less so you can make more. You have to work less so you can make more. All right. So let's throw up our poll question. Anybody interested in coming to Accelerate? And then we'll get to the final 2 steps and Tim's bonus content. And I think we're running right on time here.
Yeah, looking good. Hey, we didn't even plan this.
There you go. Oh, Tim, I wear that shirt at home all the time.
All right.
Wait a minute. Work smarter, not. Yeah, that's the same one I have, right?
It is.
Yeah, I think you were giving that out at Accelerate last year, right?
We were.
Okay, cool. Cool.
Ryan,
right.
We actually had some more questions pop up.
Let's do it.
So this is a good one. Mark asks, when you speak of profit, does that include owner's salary?
No, absolutely not. If you work in the business, whether you're a manager, a salesperson, production, whatever, you must pay yourself a salary, a reasonable salary for what you would pay somebody else, and profitability comes after that. After that. What a lot of people do, especially when they're first, smaller, is they are out selling for their business, but they don't pay themselves a sales commission. And you can't scale your business unless you have that sales commission built into your pricing. And so they'll say, oh, I sold $1 million. Well, how much did you make? Well, I made 150,000. All right, from that 150,000, is that after you paid yourself 100,000 in sales commission? And they'll say, no, it's in the 150. And I'll say, well, then you didn't make 150,000. Your business only made 50. And then it's even worse. It's like, who's the general manager of your business? I am. Well, did you pay yourself a salary for that? Yeah, I paid myself $25,000, $2,000 a month. Well, then at the end of the day, your business really made no money, because if you had to bring on a salesperson and you had to bring on a general manager, that would have wiped out your profitability, right? And so it doesn't matter what size your business is. This goes back to that dangerous myth. It doesn't matter what size your business is. Your business needs to be profitable and designed for growth regardless of size. Okay. And if it's not, it's very hard to scale it. Next.
Yes. Next, what do you mean by fully loaded marketing costs?
Tim?
Yeah, what that means, sometimes when you hear numbers like the average issued lead cost, I think the latest we've heard from our friends at Dave Yoho Associates on that number is like $429. And some folks hear that and they go, no, I don't spend $429 to generate a lead. And that's not what that number represents. When we say fully loaded issued lead cost, that means just that. Fully loaded means it's not how much you paid, for example, someone like Home Advisor to generate a lead for you. You know, that might be $50, $60 or whatever that happens to be. That is just generating a spark of interest. And there's nothing wrong with that. You need those things. But a fully loaded lead is one that considers all the other costs associated with getting that lead generated, confirmed, and issued to a salesperson. You know, there's more stuff that happens, you know, beyond just getting a web submission to get that thing to the point where you actually have an appointment set and an appointment issued to a salesperson. There's costs involved there. So you really need to think of all those costs. Maybe some portion of the overhead of your business has to be factored into that. All sorts of things get put into that. So that's a good question, because oftentimes people get confused and say, I guess I'm not normal. My lead costs are not $400. They probably are. You just haven't done all the associated math to figure out everything you're doing and spending to get those leads issued to salespeople.
Yeah.
And a follow-up, sorry, they just asked, are you including the CMO's salary into that fully loaded marketing costs?
Certainly there has to be at least some portion of that factored into that. You bet.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, one comment I'd like to make, Brian, you mentioned earlier that most of the content here today and most of the content for Accelerate Live is geared towards owners. And my guess is we got some folks on the webinar here today that maybe aren't business owners, and you know, they're probably wondering, well, is this really useful to me? I think absolutely yes. You know, you have your own little business too that you own, and that's you. Right. And that's what you do for your company. So certainly take some of this information, apply it to your life and your business. And maybe, just maybe, your owner is not here. So when you get the link to the recording, maybe you want to share it with them, you know, because your future is really dependent on the success of your company. So some of these principles are important to get to the owners if they indeed are not here.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So about half of you responded to the poll. You know, quite a few of you want to come. We're excited. Love to have you guys there. We do have the two options. We'll talk more about it in a minute. Let's keep going with the content. We'll talk a little bit more about how you can get your Accelerate tickets and those coupon codes again. So let's look at where we are. So number one, going into 2021, let's get crystal clear about what we want to make out of the business. What do we want in terms of time and money? How much time do I want to take off so I'm free to do what I want to do? And then two, how much money do I need to make? How much money do I want to make in order for me to be able to live the life that I want to live? Okay, these are tough questions, by the way. This is not easy, and that's why, and we can't do it here in a 45-minute thing. That's why we need 2 days at something like Accelerate. I mean, whether you come to Accelerate or you do this on your own or with some other group or some other way, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the more clarity that you have about where you're going and why you're going there, the more successful you're going to be. So that's number one. Number two is profitability. So we need profitability because profitability is going to drive everything else. It's going to buy you everything that you need in order for you to get the freedom that you desire, to build the business that you want. Okay? That's the only way to do it. Don't go borrowing money to do it. You do it through profitability. Okay? So we have clarity, we have profitability. Now, the third piece of this is understanding that everything comes from the customer. Everything comes from the customer. And especially nowadays, it is so important that you look at your customer experience system and make sure that you are delivering your customer an amazing customer experience. And why? Because of reviews, right? Tim and I talk about this all the time. You know, the reviews, this is what people are doing, okay? They see you're canvassing or you're doing newspaper, TV, home show, marriage mail, whatever you're doing to make a lead, they're going into this little search engine called Google and they're putting in, okay, who are these people, right? And then Google is delivering to them something that might look like this, right? And over here, you see how many reviews they have. You can click in there and you can see when was the last review? Was it yesterday or was it 3 months ago? Well, I'll tell you right now, consumers want to see what you did yesterday. Yesterday. They want to know, did you do a good job for yesterday's customer? They also want to know the quality. You know, quality score is huge. You want to have, when people are coming to your site, I would say the sweet spot is 4.6, 4.8. Anything below 4.6, you're losing leads and you're losing sales. Tim, you were going to comment about this as well.
Yeah, when you think about it, you know, customer experience is really what it is all about, and you can't take your eyes off that reality. But in terms of things like reviews, and I know you just kind of scratched the surface on that, and maybe you got more information on that in a second here. But getting as many positive reviews this is not news to you, so bear with us as we get through this. But getting as many positive reviews for your company as possible is like currency to your business.
Right.
You got people out there that are going to tell your story 24/7 for you, and the more you can get, the better. And here at MarketSharp, we came up with a metric that I think we should all start tracking, kind of like closing ratio or net sales per lead issued and all those other metrics that are important. I call this one PREA, P-R-E-A. And what that stands for is positive review efficiency average. And the math is simple. You just divide one into the other, and the two elements are your completed jobs, and the other element is the positive online reviews acquired. And divide one into the other, and you should have a goal as a company to get at least 60% of your completed jobs turning into positive online reviews. Imagine that. Imagine a company that does 1,000 jobs a year having 600 fresh online reviews up there that people can go to. And then you figure out a strategy to get people to where these reviews are. You know, and I know this makes sense to everybody here, and you're going to leave this webinar and go, yeah, we should get more positive online reviews. But that's easier said than done. Here's what doesn't work. Finished a job, have people think you did a great job, and you ask them, hey, how'd we do for you? And they say, wonderful, we really appreciate the new windows or whatever the case may be. And you say, hey, would you put up an online review for us? Here's what they'll say. They'll say, sure. Here's what they'll do. Usually nothing, because they don't know how. So get yourself aligned with someone. Brian, I know you have services that can help people get these things.
This is one of the big things that G4 does, is we help with the customer experience. Because look, the key to this is very simple. There's two people that leave reviews. People that are thrilled, raving fans. This is why you must strive to create raving fans. And then two, people that are pissed. So what do you have to do? You have to minimize the number of people that are pissed. You have to maximize the number of people that are raving fans. And then you have to give them an easy, simple way to leave a review. And oh, by the way, in between there, you have to ask for it. You have to ask for it, right? And so we teach our clients not only how to deliver a great customer experience, right? But then we also give them the platform that makes it easy for their clients to go in and leave them reviews, right? And customer experience is a driver of this. Now, not only will customer experience drive reviews, but it also drives repeat business and referrals. Again, this is a big area that G4 Marketing works in. But what you don't want to do is you don't want to spend $400 or $500, even $100 on a lead, right? Run that lead, do everything you can to sell it. Even if you're great, you're going to sell 3 or 4 out of 10, right? And now you've got these, 3 or 4 customers. They cost you a fortune to get. You've sent salespeople out. You've gone through all of the effort to get them. And then when the job is done, you just ignore them, right? And on to the next new one. This is the thing that drives me crazy about business people is like, no, this customer has a ton more value. They're not done. They're good for potentially for a referral. They're potentially good for another sale. They're good potentially, at least for a review. They're good for word of mouth. They're good for so many things. So if you're not driving a third of your business from referrals and repeat, you're not doing a great job for them. You're not creating raving fans. You don't have a system in place to make a happy customer. And again, everything comes from the customer. You want to raise your prices? Well, you want to deliver value, right? I'm going through these slides as I'm talking, but it's really all about delivering this wow experience to your customer so that they're out and they want to give you reviews. They want to refer you to their friends. They want to see you back in their house again. And, this does a number of things for us, right? Like Tim said, reviews are currency. It's equity in your brand. It's building your brand and it's giving your brand value, right? I'm not a big brand person. To me, brand is a byproduct. It comes after lead gen does. But once that customer calls you, now you do everything you can to build the relationship. And if you want to call it building your brand, great. But you build equity in your business, you build security and stability and profitability through them. The next great sales system, the next great shiny object doesn't mean shit unless you get your relationship with them right and you understand that everything comes from them. Okay. So, clarity about where we're going. Okay, we know where we want to go. We devise our profit model to deliver what we want. We adjust our price. We get our profit model right, so it delivers us the money that we need to get what we want. We also now, by doing that, now we understand we get everything that we want through the customer. That's step 3, right? Deliver an amazing experience, create this army of raving fans that are out there helping us market and sell our business. Okay. Now, the final piece of this, and this is something that a lot of people don't talk about in this industry, it's sorely missing, but now step 4 is you got to work on you. You got to work on you. Now, the book that I wrote, and there's lots of other books out there, but this book is all about working on you, working here. Okay. I've been in business for a long time on my own. Okay. The only people that have given me checks are clients for the last 25 years. Right. And I know from my own experience that the mindset, the working on myself has given me more than working. Because when I was only working on the business, I was messing up, I won't share my whole story with you guys here, but I was broke at 40. Okay. After building an $11 million company, and that was my 3rd company that I built. And one of them I sold for a whole bunch of money. But at 40, I was broke. After 40, I realized, man, I've been studying this stuff for all these years, but I haven't been applying it. And so I went to work on myself. Jim Rohn, the late Jim Rohn, and if anybody is unfamiliar with Jim Rohn, you can still find him he's alive and well on YouTube. He's amazing, but he said, work harder on yourself than you do on your job or on your business, in our case, right, as owners. Working harder at your job will make you a living. Working harder on yourself will make you a fortune. And so one of the big things that you want to do in 2021, you really want to grow your business, if you want to grow your freedom, if you want to grow your profitability, get to work on yourself. All right. I'm not going to go through all of the different ways you can do that. You can get a copy of my book. You can get a copy of Think and Grow Rich. You can go meet with other people that are already doing it. But the idea here is you work on yourself. If you want to make, for example, this is one of the big things we talk about at Accelerate, is if you have a goal of making, again, I'll use the same number I used before, $500,000 a year. Okay. I spoke with a guy yesterday. I'll give you a real world example. Asked the guy yesterday, how much do you want to make next year? He said, I want to make 360,000. Very specific number, 30 grand a month. Okay. I said, great. Have you ever made $30,000 a month before? And he said, no. I said, so it's a multiple of the biggest number you've ever made before. And he said, yes. I said, well, then in order for you to get there, it's not just going to be muscling the business to get there. Because unless you believe that you can get there, and I know I'm going a little bit woo-woo-y here, but unless you believe you can get there, you ain't ever going to get there. And that's where the work on yourself comes in. And things like Again, whether you come to Accelerate, I hope you do, but whether you come to Accelerate or you find another way to do it, fine with me. Go listen to Jim Rohn on YouTube. Go do what you got to do. But I'm telling you from experience, being in business, I'm 52 years old now, broke at 40, you know, do pretty good now. The key is being clear, understanding how the profitability works in your business, because the profitability is going to help drive everything else, understanding that everything comes from your customer, okay? And then finally is any change comes from within. It doesn't come from without, it comes from here, okay? So, Tim, hopefully I didn't lose a whole bunch of people with I went off on a little bit of a tangent there, but this is how it works. And I'm sorry, I didn't make it up. This is just how it works. And this is from experience. And this is from me working with, like you. I mean, I work with dozens and dozens of multimillionaires from this business, multimillionaires from this business that started with nothing. I'm telling you over and over again, mindset trumps skill set all day long. So I know that we're going to give away a ticket or two in a minute. I know that Tim has got some bonus content. For those of you that are interested in Accelerate, the live portion of the business, I think we're just about sold out. We might have a few seats left, but here's the thing. We're going to be in a room that holds like 400 people. We're going to have about 120 in there. Everybody's going to have their own table. Everybody's going to be social distance. The hotel you know how the hotels are about safety and all of that, and restaurants and all of that. So you will be safe if you decide to join us live. But we've already got 100. I think we're very, very close to our max number of live attendees. So if you want to join us live, it's the best experience live. We also, for the first time ever, because of what's going on, we are offering a virtual option. So if you look on the screen right now, you can use, if you want to come to the live portion of the event, you could save $200 with this code. You're not going to see this code again. If you want to take advantage of it, write it down, because we're not going to show it to you again. It's webinar, or you're not going to get it in an email or follow up or anything. Webinar 21. If you want to join us for the virtual portion, just put a V in front of it. V Webinar 21, and that'll knock $50 off. We're charging $295 for the virtual portion. This will knock $50 off of it. Like I said, for the virtual portion, no boring Zoom. You're going to be in the room with us. You're going to get a big box ahead of time with materials and prep. We take this seriously. I mean, I have clients that can't join us live for one reason or another, and they have blocked out the 2 days. I even have a client that's going to somebody else's office and camping out there for 2 days just so that they don't miss a thing. So, wow, that's my big pitch for Accelerate. I will stop now so that you could listen to Tim and his great stuff, and then we'll stick around and answer questions.
All right, thanks, Brian. Good stuff. And you're right. I love what you guys do, because you're right. You're one of the only people that are on this education frontier industry that does talk about mindset. Everybody else is talking about strategies and tactics, and that's all wonderful. Yeah. But without that mindset, you're just minimizing it. So yeah, thanks to you, and thanks for all you guys do at G4 Marketing and Wealthy Contractor to do that. So speaking of Jim Rohn, he had another quote that I love, and frankly, I just learned that this quote came from him. Another person, a mentor of mine in a business decades ago, told me this. Come to find out, it was Jim Rohn that originally came up with it, and it's so simple. And what it is this. This guy told me, hey, if you want to grow your business, Tim, and have my business look like yours when you come back to this conference next year. And he looked me square in the eye and he said, I'm going to clue you in on something I call reality thinking. And I thought, okay, what's this? And he looked at me and he said, think about how you got your business to where it's at right now and ask yourself this question. And I thought, okay. And he said, Tim, if you do what you've always done, And I think everybody on this call knows what he said next.
Yep.
Said you're going to get what you always got. And frankly, Brian, I didn't really appreciate that advice at that moment.
Right.
It's too vague. I
Right.
wanted some direct mail piece that was going to give me a bunch of leads. And he told me this goofy concept of it's, you do what you've always done, you're going to get what you always got. Well, look where we're at. We're decades later. I'm still talking about it every time I get an opportunity. That particular quote came from Jim Rohn. So yeah, check that out. Go Google Jim Rohn, and he's just full of nuggets of wisdom like that. All right, little bonus content. We'll do this quickly and get you guys out of here and give away a couple tickets. So next slide is going to talk about something we put together, frankly, a long time ago called a marketing planning spreadsheet. It's just a resource we'll make available to you. If you like this thing, want to fiddle with it after the webinar or during the webinar, just email me at tim@marketsharp.com and request a marketing planning spreadsheet. What this forces you to do is think through your business from the top down and work it backwards, as Brian mentioned earlier. And you really want to begin this with a profit number in mind. I'd like to make 10%, 15%. Brian suggested 15%. Have that as a goal. Make sure whatever you pick for a goal isn't such a huge stretch that you can't make the changes in 1 year. In other words, if you're making 3% or 4% net profit, probably wouldn't suggest you say, okay, we're jumping to 20% this year, because you very well might not be able to pull that off. So come up with something reasonable and have that number in mind. Then what you do is you go to this spreadsheet, and Brian, if you'll click once, it'll take you to the annual breakdown area. And here you got that profit number in mind. Do some simple math to come up with what you got to do revenue wise to pull that off to achieve that 10% net profit or 15 or whatever you want. So you answer these 7 questions here. How much you want to do for revenue, what percent you want to set aside for marketing and advertising, what your average sale is, what your typical closing percentage is, what's typically your lead cancellation percentage before an appointment is run. In other words, how many appointments fall through the cracks that you have set. And if you have some rescission or finance rejection, what percentage you got there and how many salespeople you got. That's it. Put those numbers in and voila, the spreadsheet goes and calculates a bunch of stuff for you. It calculates the stuff on the bottom, tells you how many leads you got to generate or how many jobs you got to get this year to pull this off, how many leads you got to generate based on closing ratios, things such as that. Tells you how much money you got to spend, $200,000 in your marketing based on 8%. And it's telling you typically what your marketing dollars spent per lead will be, but also it's telling you probably a more important number, what your marketing dollars you got to spend per sale is projected to be. Okay? So with that in mind, you keep going and click the sheet one more time, Brian. Then it takes you to a place where you can go ahead and look at this number, these numbers on a monthly basis. So if you see those boxes up on top encircled in red, you just go ahead and put in a pro rata number there of what you think a given month will contribute towards the year. Because some of our businesses are somewhat seasonal, so it's not simply a division by 12. So you do your best shot there and say, okay, in January, it's going to represent 6% of our annual business, May is 10%, and so forth. Then it's going to calculate how many leads you need that month, how many sales you need that month, and how much money you got to spend to pull this off. Then what you do below that is you go ahead and list your sources that you use for marketing, and you're free to put whatever you want in these things, and then you spend your $12,000. You just say, here's what I'm going to budget for this time. Many of our companies, many of you guys don't do this on a monthly basis. You just say, oh, let's go spend some money and see what happens. Don't do that anymore. Get specific. And you can get specific, especially if you have a CRM like MarketSharp and you know what lead sources are working for you, what your cost per lead and sale is on that. You can kind of work all this stuff backwards. It's awesome. So you go spend your money here. And I don't think we have, let's go ahead and click one more time, Brian. But the spreadsheet also has the ability to go ahead and click on individual months where you see what your goal is. You see what percent of the total that is, how many sales you need, how many leads you have, how much you got to spend. And here you are going to simply describe what you're going to do strategy and tactic wise this month. And you really can't see the full thing here. But this is a great place for you to figure out exactly what you're going to do to achieve your goal for this month.
Can I comment here? Can I comment here, Tim? Sorry to interrupt you, but look, every one of my wealthiest, richest clients, every one of them. Okay, I have a client that right now, I just had, I had lunch with them, making about $1 million a month net. Okay. Do you think that he just leaves any of this to chance? He knows his numbers inside and out. Okay. Inside and out. As the owner of a business, this is the work that you need to be doing. This is the work. You figure it out, and then you manage to it. And by the way, you know, we're gonna have an amazing tool that will that we're gonna be talking about at Accelerate. Again, we're gonna Accelerate's like a workshop. It's not a seminar. We don't talk to you for 2 days. We actually do some work, but there are different ways that you can manage this. But every single one of my richest, wealthiest clients, I mean, they zero in on different numbers, but it's like, how many leads do we need to issue today? How many did we issue today? How many did we sell? How much did we sell for? And what do we got going on tomorrow? I mean, they don't wait until the end of the year to figure out whether or not they hit their target. They're doing it daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly. And tools like this, and this is the best one I've seen, by the way, when it comes to granular month by month target numbers to work towards, this spreadsheet makes it so easy. Tim knows this. I mean, I created something like this many years before I met Tim. And what a, you know, I mean, when I saw this, I'm like, oh my God, he did the work and he did it 10 times better than I could have. So anyway, everybody needs to do this work. Sorry, I had to throw that in.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for the feedback there and comments. Go back one screen, Brian. I just want to mention one more thing about the spreadsheet. There's one more sheet that when you're done and the month is over, you know, in addition to being able to put in your annual monthly budget, in other words, where you're spending your money in marketing, when the month is done, you go ahead and put in a budget versus actual area of the spreadsheet, how much you actually did spend that month on all your marketing things. It might differ from what you plan to spend. And then it's also going to compare the sales you got for that month with what your goal was. And you might be able to see, okay, we had a goal that month of $750,000. We only achieved 600,000, but look, we were budgeted to spend 200,000. We only spent 160,000. Gee, I wonder why we didn't meet our goal. So this can smoke out some problems in your business. Year after year after year, you start seeing trends and concepts that you can get more efficient with and then impact your bottom line. So again, if you want this, just free, happy to give it to you guys. Email me, tim@marketsharp.com, request the marketing planning spreadsheet. So with that, Brian, I'm going to wind the webinar down. Why don't we go to the next screen? And we'll give away some stuff in a second. But before we do, just a couple of comments on MarketSharp if you don't have it. You know, when I see companies that really killed it in 2020, they are the companies that embrace technology. They just are. There's plenty of technology tools out there available in the business. Search them out, find the ones that work good. We're of the opinion that it's no longer an option to have what I call an IS-CRM, not just a CRM, but an IS-CRM, which is an industry-specific CRM. So go ahead and click again, Brian, and it'll bring up those words, and that's really important. Built for the way this business works. Next screen is going to show you what it's got to look like. It's got to be holistic. It's got to handle your marketing, your sales, and your production. Because if not, you're going to pull your hair out juggling multiple computer programs, and you know nothing could be worse than that. So make sure whatever you're looking at is holistic. You know what we have at MarketSharp on the next screen, you know, does a bunch of stuff for you. It's going to help you generate leads. Go ahead and click, Brian. It's going to help you generate leads. Probably the big thing, it's going to help you in lead conversion. That's the name of the game right now.
Right.
We're getting a bunch of inquiries right now, but the companies that figure out efficiencies in conversion are the ones that are really killing it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I could summarize all this stuff, but the last thing there is managing your business by the numbers. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
So next screen is going to wind us down here a little bit. We integrate with a whole bunch of tools you're using. If you look at the far right, you see a G4 logo there.
That's us.
So, yeah. So MarketSharp is the core of your business, kind of works with what the folks at G4 Marketing are doing for you. And it's kind of neat how all that works together. So are we at the screen where?
By
we're
the way,
getting-
and all of
Yeah.
this, okay, so all of this, I know if you're not using a CRM system and you're looking at this and you're thinking, oh my God, this looks crazy. This is going to take forever and blah, blah, blah. No. Oh, and you're going to think it's expensive. A, it's not expensive. And B, they're going to help you set this whole thing up. You're not going to have to figure it all out on your own. And again, by the way, you know, if you're have a small team and a small company and it's just you right now, that's fine. But once you start to set things up like this, now you can start to bring more people on. So it might be, you know, you might be the one that has to do it at first, but once you get it set up, then you're going to have the ability to now, when you're managing your business by your numbers, you can bring people in, and then you could start to delegate this stuff off. And then all you're responsible for is planning and reporting. Everything else in the middle can be done by other people. I just wanted to throw that in there, Tim, because MarketSharp does a lot. It is again, I think industry specific. It is the best. So anyway, marketsharp.com.
Let's ask a poll question, Brian, and then we'll get to giving away the tickets, and then we'll turn everyone loose. So go ahead and launch a poll. If you're interested in learning more about what G4 can do for you, the wealthy contractor, MarketSharp, or both, let us know. We'll just follow up based on your leading here and get you the information you're after. If interested in MarketSharp, where that begins is with a discovery session. Just get together with you online for 45 minutes, learn about your business, you know, make a determination whether the tool would be useful for you. My guess is it probably would be, and then give you a demonstration of it and kind of spot some areas where it could really help. So while the poll is up, is there a question or two?
Yeah. So this is one Jennifer asked. One of the big challenges, and I know a lot of people, we've done at G4, we've done a ton of work with this in the last few months. And that is one of the biggest challenges we have faced in 2020 is in production. You're not the only one. Sales and marketing have been fantastic. Getting product delivered and installed is where we are having major trouble. It has resulted in angry customers, cancellations, past rescission, complaints, bad reviews. For example, our windows are now about 16 to 20 weeks out. You're not the only one again. How do you suggest handling delays in installation so that customers are more understanding and don't freak out when we tell them 16 weeks when we thought it would be sooner? Okay, so this is a big question. If you want to talk to somebody at G4 about this, we're happy to do it. Not a sales pitch, just kind of how we're handling it for clients. But one of the things is you want to be transparent with your customers. You want to let them know what's going on. You want to let them know. In fact, I might be able to share this. So another one of our speakers at Accelerate Live is a guy named Matt Hollander, runs a super successful company called Hulco. He sent out an amazing video to all of his customers, basically saying, hey, basically this, hey, look, a lot of this stuff is beyond our control. But the way that he worded it in the video, the way he did the video was really good. Jennifer, if you're the owner, one of the things I would do, number one, is get on video and send a video out to all of your customers and just talk to them and tell them, look, a couple of things have happened this year, and don't talk COVID. By the way, that's the first time you've heard me say those words, and only to make a point. I talk about it as challenge. It's been a challenging year. I don't mention the virus. I don't mention the name of it. But then you're just honest and you say, look, we've sold more this year than we have in the past. And while we're grateful for that, it has created some issues. And some of those issues are that, our production times are out further than we want them to be. And to compound matters, our suppliers are also being impacted by the situation. And while I would love to have your windows installed for you next week, unfortunately, I have to wait for them to be delivered to us. And so that's the kind of messaging that you want to put out there. Some of the other things we're doing, so we've got a couple of really large clients that have one of my clients has a $40 million backlog. $40 million. I mean, it's crazy, the backlog that they have. And so what we've put together is we put together apology boxes. So we've sent out to handle this before it becomes an issue. We're sending out boxes as a gift with an apology card in there that says you deserve an apology. And basically we say this in there. Hey, look, this is beyond our control. Here's what's going on. We're really sorry, but we're doing everything we can on our end to make sure that we can deliver to you the best product, with the best service, in a timely manner. So again, if you want to talk more about this to somebody on my team, just reach out to us, let us know, and we'll show you some of the things that we are doing. Again, doesn't have to be a sales pitch, but we can show you some of the things that we are doing, and you can either, copy it and do it yourself, or have us do it for you. Either way, is fine with me. I hope
Brian,
that answers your question. Yeah, go ahead.
Brian, the advice from Matt and what Matt's doing with that video, I think that's just a
Have you seen
idea.
it? Have you seen it?
I would love to. I just heard about it now, just like people on this call, but that is a superb idea. Even before we had 2020, if you check with Better Business Bureau and their statistics, and you look at what they've learned in terms of complaints from contractors in general, the biggest complaint they had is lack of communication. And that's before COVID and certainly after. So anything you can do to put together a communication process throughout is very important. And boy, having that video is just speaking from your heart. I think nothing could be better than that. So that's great information.
Yeah. All right. So
time
and the winner is Valerie, who 2 people have won tickets. So who are the 2 people?
Yes, so we have Christine Bumkrotz and Scott Irvin will get 2 virtual tickets to Accelerate Live from home.
Awesome. Cool. Congratulations. And for the rest of you, listen, you don't want to miss it. Oh, by the way, you know what I did not mention at all is your guarantees for Accelerate. So look at this. Either one of them, if for any reason on the first day you say, but you got to be there. Okay. So even on the virtual, you've got to show up at least for 5 or 10 minutes, right? But if you show up and if for any reason whatsoever, you don't feel it's right for you, or it's not going to be profitable enough for you, you let us know and we will refund your money right away. 100%, we will give your money back. If you join us live, and again, there's only a few seats left, but if you join us live and you say to us anytime during the first day, up until like the end of the day, if you say, you know what, this isn't right for me, not only will we give you your money back, but we'll give you $1,000 in cash to cover your travel and your hotel expense and your time. Okay, that's how serious we are about the content. That's how serious we are about this event. All right, so both of them, 100%, the risk is on us, exactly where it should be. And to get those tickets, just go to accelerateevent.com, choose whether you want to join us live or if you want to join us virtual. Click on the button there, put in this coupon code where it asks for it, and you'll see an adjustment down. And that's it. And you will be all set for Accelerate Live at the end of January 26th and 27th. And I guess if there are no other questions, Tim, I guess we're done. Hopefully this has been of value to people. I always appreciate you, my friend, and everything that you do for the industry. Again, for those of you that are still with us, a lot of you are still there. You got questions about your business, if you're stuck on something, call this guy. He is one of the most knowledgeable people in this business, and he's got, I'll embarrass him a little bit, but he's got the biggest heart of just about anybody I've met in this business. So reach out. Don't do all of this stuff alone. There's no need for you to figure out how all this works on your own. There are proven models and strategies that you can employ. Just go ask people. They'll happy to help. All right, so I think that is it. No more
We did
questions.
have a couple more questions. I'm not
Oh,
sure
okay.
where did you get to. We have, is MarketSharp a good fit for a painting contractor?
Absolutely.
MarketSharp works great for painting contractors, you bet.
Absolutely.
And then we also had, how do you guide customers to give good reviews? Making sure they fill out all sections, not just be neutral about it.
Well, look, you got to give them a story to tell, number one. And then number two, you got to make it easy for them. I mean, we show our clients how to face-to-face get a review in 90 seconds or less. And basically, I'll just share it with you right now, real quick. I'll give you the 2-second version of it. Is you got to have a technology that makes it easy. So with our, for example, for ours, which is called authentic feedback, all we do is you open the thing up on your phone, put in their name, their cell phone number, you're standing right in front of them, they get a text message, you say, hey, you see that text? Yeah, hit that button. Okay, do you have a Google account? Great, hit that button, and you just walk them through it. And you say, hey, did we earn a 5-star review? Great, can you hit the 5th star there? Great. And then can you write a little something about your experience? I'd really appreciate it. 90 seconds, you got a review, a 5-star review on Google. By the way, and Google is the place that you want to drive your reviews, because that's where they're the most valuable. Anybody else?
Looks like that's it.
All right. So, okay, awesome. Well, Tim, thank you again. I will see you. I'll talk to you before then, but I will see you in a month or a month and a half at Accelerate, and hopefully, and everybody else, thank you very much. And we will see you all again.
Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.